Hey, what's up, YouTube? Red and Bordy here. Today, on a special episode of Motigo, we're going to talk about Valheim. Now, Valheim is a popular Viking survival game that's hit Steam over the last 3 weeks. And, dude, this game has blown up. It's one of the most popular games anywhere you go on Twitch, on Steam. So, Bordy, we're going to talk exclusively about this game and kind of, me and you play, obviously. Maybe go into why we think the game is so popular, a little bit of a review, so to say. So this entire episode is dedicated to Valheim. So first and foremost, Bordy, let's look at these statistics. Now, Valheim has sold 4 million copies in roughly 3 weeks. That is an insane rate of sales, man.
Yeah, congratulations to them. That's absolutely bonkers, dude.
Yes, small team apparently. So it's crazy to think, games like Fall Guys and Valheim, of course, and another good one is Among Us. These games are indie games that they're going up against and beating games like Cyberpunk. It's insane, dude. It's insane to watch, but it's very encouraging for the the gaming industry. Just know you don't have to spend $1 billion to make a game that people are going to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a very good reason for that, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute.
For sure. All right, so this is another big one here. It surpassed 500,000 concurrent players, which puts it at the top 5 most played games in the history of Steam. Bordy, again, games like Cyberpunk, Grand Theft Auto 5, the list goes on and on. The Witcher. All of those games have been on Steam, and this game ranks in the top 5 concurrent player base. That's insane, dude. That's a massive accomplishment.
It's absolutely incredible, man. It's wild. This is a game that was made by 5 people. I'm pretty sure it was a 5-man development team, and this game has blown up. So kudos to them, man. They're stacking cash right now, and it's crazy. It's been a crazy journey to watch the game. We on an episode of Mo to Go a couple weeks ago, we talked about Valheim briefly, not exclusively. We talked about it briefly, and it had just surpassed 2 million copies, I believe, and now it's already at 4 million, which is insane, man. And then the concurrent players just continues to rise. It's been an incredible thing to watch because it's just not this isn't something you see very often in gaming, and that's why we wanted to cover it exclusively on this episode, because it's just this is a momentous occasion for something like this to happen. It's wild, man.
Well, and to your point, the game has something special, and we're going to break this down in this episode. Like you said, this is unprecedented, and obviously a big platform like Steam, and it's top 5 in history. And like you said, that's 5 people that made the game. There are thousands of people that work on these AAA titles out there, and for some, a game like this to have 5 people is pretty nuts, man. So let's hop right in here, dude, and maybe just talk about why the game is so popular and why it's so successful. So one of the reasons, obviously, is accessibility on Steam. It's on a big platform that obviously most PC gamers use, and it's $19.99, Bordy. So, not a full sticker price of most games. Obviously, I think a lot of, AAA games are traditionally marked at $59.99 at least, and then there's some sort of collector's edition that probably tacks on another $20, but not Valheim. Valheim is $19.99.
Yeah, very affordable. I do think that's one of the reasons why it has sold so many copies. I'm not so sure that well, I guess it does kind of play into the concurrent players on there, but there's a lot of games that sell a lot of copies that don't have the type of concurrent player base that Valheim does right now. So I think those issues don't always go hand in hand. But yeah, I think $19.99 is most definitely one of the reasons why it has sold so many copies. It's very affordable, man.
Yeah, and here's the thing. In the circumstances that a lot of people are in, they're just looking for a new game to play. And it's much easier to stomach, like, oh, I'm going to try this game out. And then if I'm out $19, that's a little bit of a smaller dent in my wallet than if I'm going to go buy like a AAA title and then that end up sucking. But dude, Valheim does not suck. It's a very good game. And one of the other things is, we're in this loop, Bordy, of early access games on Steam where you buy a game and the game is awful. It doesn't run. It has all these features that don't work. They say coming soon, and that coming soon may be updated in a year, in 2 years. We've all played early access titles like that. And Valheim, they do consider it to be in an early access or beta type state. Dude, there is, the game loop is in full swing, man. I couldn't imagine, again, at the price, buying a more complete game, especially in early access.
Yeah, and that's absolutely one of the contributing factors to the success of the game, is that you don't see early access titles being released like this, or being, put in early access and available to purchase on Steam. Usually when you buy an early access title, all of us have been burned by buying an early access title on Steam. I think everyone that plays video games they buy a game that looks really good. It's an early access and the game turns out to be crap, or it's 6 years down the road until the game is playable
Yeah.
or decent. So you just have to keep checking your Steam library for updates, and then you go back and revisit that game once a year just to find out it's still crap. And then 6 years later, you're able to play the game and it's okay. That's the loop that we've been stuck in for a while now as gamers. So it's very refreshing whenever there is a early access title on Steam that is as fleshed out and is as complete as Valheim. Now, I think Valheim still has some work to do because it is an early access. There are some bugs, there are some things going on with the game that aren't perfect. But overall, for an early access game, it feels very complete. The progression feels really, really good in the game. And there's a lot of other nice features in the game that just make the game good. The game it's a solid game, man. It's a solid game. Do we want to talk about some of the features of Valheim real quick before we move on? And because the reason I want to bring that up is because I'm not so sure that Valheim has any groundbreaking features in the game, right? And that's what makes this so interesting, that it is blown up so much, because there's already a bunch of really good survival games out there. There's a ton of them, right? And they all have similar features. There's building mechanics. There's eating and drinking. Valheim does that very well, though, where you eat. You don't die, you eat to almost gain a buff almost, versus, so it's a little bit different mechanic, which I like. But in terms of the overall gameplay, there's nothing in there in Valheim that is completely just earth shattering. It's just a very solid game. The building mechanics are good. It has some really good terraforming. The combat in the game is very fluid, feels very good. It's action-based combat. The progression is very nice. It's a skill-based system. The more you use something, the better you get at it, type of thing. The gathering feels really good, like you would expect from a survival game. So everything is really, really good. But I don't think there's anything earth-shattering in there. Do you, Red? Do you think there's any one mechanic in there that is just like, hey, that's why everybody's playing Valheim?
Well, so it does have one unique thing, and I think it does play into the success of the game. It had, a lot of these crafting games or survival games don't feel like they always have a point other than like base building and surviving. Valheim does have that boss system that's pretty unique to the game. Minecraft has something sort of similar, like in the Ender Dragon, and having a purpose to gear up and go find the Ender portal and stuff like that. But Valheim does a really good job because they tie the boss fights into progression. So as you kill a boss, you get to progress with your crafting and your base building, and you obviously, it makes survival more easy, and it allows you to venture into new biomes on the map that allow you to, certain inventions and exploration things tied to these boss fights allow you to go into these other biomes that give you even more rare resources and more capability as far as crafting and progressing. So I do think that progression system is pretty unique in a survival game like this. And I think, dude, I'm more of a like an MMO player. You have a much deeper history in survival games like this, and that's one of the things I don't like about most survival games, is I feel like it's kind of pointless. Like there's no real reason to keep surviving, and keep going, and Valheim gives you a reason.
It does, and I would agree wholeheartedly that is one of the reasons why it is succeeding. It does have the boss system, and that ties in, just progression in the game overall feels really, really good. It's very addicting. Once you start playing, you do feel like you're progressing in the game, and that's the hook. That's the hook in a game that I think a lot of games do miss, is that you play for a little while and then you kind of hit a wall, or you just don't feel like there's anything left to do, or you have to, do a lot of stuff to feel like you're progressing any further in the game. Valheim it's constant progression in the game, and that's what is very fun. I think that's what keeps people playing for hours on end at a time. I've seen so many people on Twitter saying they've lost their entire, weekend to sitting there just playing Valheim, just no life in Valheim the whole weekend. And it's awesome to see. And I think that's it's attributed to the game being incredibly solid. It is a very, very good game, I think, especially with the early access tag. But again, I kind of want to go back to this, even with the boss fights and the really, really good progression. And it is a great game. It's awesome. I'm not taking anything away from the game at all. But even with all of that, man, is there anything else in the game that's like just incredible that pushes sales? Because I have a theory behind why Valheim has blown up so much. And I think all of this, everything we've talked about up to this point has kind of snowballed into the next point. But I mean, because there's nothing in there that we haven't ever really seen before. The boss system is unique to survival genre, but it's not groundbreaking, it's not some crazy thing, so what else could there be, Red? Why is the game just blown up? Why did they sell 4 million copies? Why is there 500,000 people, 500,000 concurrent players over the weekend playing Valheim? Like, what's the contributing factor, you think, besides the game being really solid? Because there's a lot of other really good games out there that don't ever reach these types of numbers, man,
Well, and this is, I would assume, the first thing you're kind of alluding to, and that is Twitch popularity. That is a big thing with gaming in general. And I feel it's still, what's crazy to me, Bordy, is you still see people combating this idea, is that games don't need Twitch. Twitch needs games. No, Twitch just blows up games like Among Us and like, games like Valheim. You see these big
Fall Guys,
creators,
and there's a lot of titles.
Yes, you see Carnage, and basically every streamer underneath the sun at least tried Valheim, and the positive reviews that those people give. I mean, Co spent a lot. He bounces back and forth between titles a lot. He's a variety streamer now, but dude, he spent a ton of time in Valheim, and that tells you something. Mm-hmm. Someone as experienced as him, who's played thousands of video games from start to finish. He spent a ton of time in Valheim, and that speaks to the quality of game that it is.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, here's the thing. If the game sucked, it wouldn't get the attention on Twitch and from all the other content creators that it's getting. So the game is really good, and that's why these people are playing it. I am 100%, sure about that. People wouldn't be playing it if the game wasn't good, but the game also wouldn't have sold 4 million copies and be sitting at 500,000 concurrent players if it weren't for people creating content for the game and sharing it out to the world and hyping it up. We've seen that happen so many times with other titles, and that's in my mind, that's why the game has blown up how it's blown up, is because it just kind of snowballed, and it's like the next big thing. Among Us was there for a little while. Now we've kind of moved on to Valheim. And then maybe something else will come out that will just kind of blow up too. I don't know if it'll blow up to the extent this has, because it's been mind-boggling to watch. But I think the content creators in general, not just streaming, but even on YouTube, there's a lot of big YouTubers that have been covering this game too and just hyping it up. And so people see that, and these people have so much pull and so much influence over what happens with video games and the sales of video games that it's crazy to watch. It's an incredible time we live in, and it's fun to watch stuff like this happen, and especially when somebody makes a very good quality product and then these people blow it up and they get rewarded for that. It's awesome to watch, man. It's been really cool. But I think the game being really good, plus the combination of content creators, is what enabled the game to be what it is in terms of sales, which is really cool. Plus, I also think right now, Red, right now is a unique time, in my opinion, because I think Valheim is kind of scratching an MMO itch that a lot of people don't have right now. There's so many people, even in our Discord, so many people looking for an MMO and they can't find one. Well, Valheim pops up, and it kind of gives you that feel a little. I mean, I know it's not an MMO, obviously. It's a 10-player, multiplayer game. It's not an MMO, but it kind of scratches that itch a little bit, So I think the combination of all these things is what's blown it up. I don't think it's just one thing, but there's so many people hungry for a good game right now, especially MMO players, and I think that also contributed to the level of success that Valheim's getting. So just goes to show you make a good quality product and put it out there, good things can happen. So I really hope a lot of other developers take note of this and quit putting out crappy early access products and try to put a little bit of time and effort into the game and actually sell a good product to the consumers. Knowing that it's still in early access, still going to work on it, but there's so many crappy quality games that go out there on Steam that shouldn't even be out there, in my opinion. And I hope people take note of this.
You're exactly right, because here's the thing is, if no one can play your game, no one's going to dislike your game, right? And that's where a lot of these early access games fail, I think, is they're so eager to make some money back, I think. Maybe they have to continue production, and maybe they've ran out of funds, so they kind of just got to throw what they have out there and use the crowdsourcing or crowdfunding method to get the rest of the game finished. But dude, this game, like you said, is almost like a near finished product on release. Well, look at the popularity. It's 5th all time on Steam, and the reason is whether and I don't know much about the team that created Valheim, admittedly, but their approach to releasing a game in this state paid off because I can like you said, dude, we streamed Valheim last night. And I spent 2 hours breaking a rock, like literally to build my base in a certain place that I wanted to have my base at. And the game works that way for numerous reasons. So one of the favorite things about Valheim, in my opinion, is the PlayStation 1 graphics mixed with ray tracing. Dude, it's so nostalgic for me. Those games, looking back at that, we used to have fun on PlayStation 1, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy 7, things like that. That combination of nostalgia mixed with the Viking aesthetic and all the good systems that are in place, dude, it's just got something very special that has captured a lot of people. And like you said, this team deserves the success they've had because they created something that's a ton of fun.
Absolutely, man. It's awesome, and it's been awesome to watch, man. So here's the other question, man. Do you think Valheim can sustain this level of success moving forward? And probably not. I don't think sustaining 500,000 concurrent players is I don't think that's reasonable. Not many games do that, but I just mean this level of success, keep it in the top 10 games on Steam type of success, which is still huge. Do you think Valheim can sustain that?
Well, here's the challenge. I think in gaming in general, people are always looking for something new to play. Valheim, depending on how quick they can update the game, will obviously still be successful on some level. But to sustain a $500,000 player base, I definitely agree with you on that. That's almost impossible.
500,000 concurrent users.
Yeah, what did I say?
$500,000.
$500,000. Okay, well, I'm sure they got much more than that. They sold 4 million copies. But the thing, dude, realistically, no, they can't keep this level of success up. But can they keep being successful? Yes, I agree. Or I think that they can for sure do that. It's just a matter of just like any game that's a service, you need to keep updating the game and finding new intuitive ways to keep players invested in the world. And dude, the boss system is the perfect way to do that, dude. Just add another boss, add a new level of, maybe a new biome, a new level of whatever Valheim is, I don't know a lot about Viking lore and stuff like that, but apparently we're in some depth of hell. So, keep adding to that. You know what I mean? And dude, yes, I think the game can be very, very successful going into the future for sure.
Yeah. I one of the things we didn't mention too is just the procedurally generated worlds, man, which is really cool. I think people really enjoy that and dig that because you can go to a different world and every seed is a little bit different, and so that's cool. And the map is absolutely enormous. The first time I scrolled all the way out on the map, I was blown away. I did not expect it to be that big. So it's incredible. I think there's just so many things that play into this factor of Valheim, and it's been fun to watch the growth, man. And it's gonna be interesting interesting to see how this plays out over the coming months. You know, I think it's going to be a popular game for a long time to come. I think a lot of people are still going to be streaming it on Twitch and creating content over the game for a very long time. And dude, congratulations to those guys, man. They are super rich now. And they deserve it, dude, because it's a good product.
Yeah, and this is good for gaming. Competition like this,
yes.
with the big, you know, EA and Activision and Blizzard and Epic, all big competitor, you know, those competitors who invest, again, millions upon billions of dollars into games. To have a small team, indie team like this compete with them is good for gamers and gaming in general, because we're going to see more passionate projects like this that really, you know, engulf players in a world that, you know, no one expected this, dude. Nobody.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see.
It is, man. It is.
All right, man. Well, anything else you want to talk about before we cut this one? Dude.
No, I think that's about it, man. We just wanted to kind of give our thoughts on why Valheim is so popular. And I don't think there's one single contributing factor. I think there's a whole lot of things. Great game. Yeah. You picked up by a lot of content creators, came out at the right time, I think, when there's kind of a drought especially for MMO players. I just think there's a lot. I think it was just kind of the perfect storm for them, and kudos, man. They made a great game. They got rewarded for it. And man, they're sitting there is sitting pretty now, and it's awesome. It's been really, I've really enjoyed just watching just this whole story play out. It's been awesome, man.
Well, and it's fun. I mean, dude, it brought a lot of people are playing a lot of different things. We're all waiting for New World, and dude, it's cool because our Discord's together playing Valheim. We just started a new server last night, and it's been a blast, man. It's a great co-op game. Tons of fun.
It is. Yeah, it's been so much fun playing with the community too. So yeah, hey, here's a quick plug. If you want to play Valheim with us, come play with us. Join the Discord.
Yeah, join the Discord. Come, the links below,
enjoy the game,
boys.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that about does it for this episode of Mo to Go. If you guys like this style where we break down one game in particular, let us know in the comments below. If you prefer that, you know, we want to see rapid fire, more games, more news, then you can tell us that too down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscription button, the notification bell for more content like this, and we'll see you in the next one.